Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Speaking of Zane. Got a good crowd assembling tonight. December the 12th, 2021, the 173rd week that we've done Speaking of Zane. And it is good to have you guys in there. We got some good updates tonight. Second Speaking of Zane in the month of December. All right. Well, let's see who we've got in here in the chat. I've been trying something a little different, just popping the chat up on the screen there. See how people like that. My cousin Toby's in there. My buddy Steve Shirley's in there. Ken's in there. Daryl's in there. My Aunt Cindy's in there over in Alabama. Hey, Aunt Cindy. My dad's in there. Amy's in there. Hey, Amy. Lori's in there. Lori's downstairs. Lori is just about, I think, directly underneath me, actually, on the main level. All right, Jim Miller's in there. Hey, Jimbo. And Jesus Melendez, one of Zane's battle buddies. Good to have you in there, pal. Sure do appreciate you stopping by. And great to see you in there. All right. Well, let's see. I know we'll have some others join along the way, and we will recognize them in the chat. If you are there and I haven't acknowledged you, welcome. Thank you for joining Speaking of Zane. I tell you what, you certainly don't have to on a Sunday night, but I'm glad so many of you do, and you make it part of your regular week. And tell you what, I think in the long run, we will make a difference somewhere along the way. I think that is true. Well, let's see what the heck is going on since we met last. We'll see. Lori's still recovering. I tell you, this has probably been one of the longest recoveries that she's had. And of course, I think the way that arm was broken probably has a lot to do with it. And the doc there was probably no clear-cut way to fix that arm, and it's probably going to be a little trial and error, is my guess. But she's getting regular checkups on it before she has to start some sort of physical therapy. But anyway, keep her in your thoughts and prayers, because this has been a tough one for her. There's Katie Aaron up in Michigan. Hey, Katie. There's my Aunt Mary just south of here, and down in, I almost said Griffin, Georgia, Aunt Mary, because of your last name. But I know you were down in Ocilla, Georgia. There's Matt Aaron, the betrothed of Katie Aaron up in Michigan. Good to have the Aarons in here. Hello, y'all. All right, well, let's see. We had a little different week this week. I did anyway. I got to go to St. Louis. I got to travel for work, and we had to get a little special approval to convene at our headquarters building there in St. Louis. But I flew up there on Friday morning, spent the day in our complex there, and decided to stay the night. Stayed the night up there, and we were up there. I was up there. All the rest of the coworkers lived there, but we went out to dinner, and we walked out of dinner, and the sirens were going off, and we were like, nobody had been keeping up with the weather or anything, but the sirens were going off, and all of a sudden the weather alerts and everything. We were standing outside. It was 66 degrees in St. Louis, a St. Louis suburb, and we were like, what the heck is going on? And I think you've probably heard by now what happened in about 6 states, including Missouri. Tornadoes. One tornado, they are saying, stayed on the ground for about 200 miles. It's incredible to think of. But we were lucky. We didn't know. We were standing outside. But the tornadoes were just a little bit to our west. In fact, let me share my screen here, and I'll show you something. Where did that go? There we go. Let me share my other screen here. Okay, so let me take that banner down for a second. So this is that Amazon. There's these two Amazon buildings here. Let me get over here and zoom in. I don't know which one of these, but one of these two Amazon buildings is the one that got hit in Edwardsville, Illinois. Well, this is my company's two buildings out there in Edwardsville. You can see they're just right across the road from the one that got hit. These are massive. I mean, talking million square feet. But fortunately, ours did not get hit. And one across the road, one of the Amazon ones got hit. Terrible situation. I think somebody was killed in there, in fact. And of course, you heard about all the others in Kentucky and Tennessee. In fact, Daryl's wife, Wanda, the town she grew up in Tennessee, was hit pretty bad. And anyway, so we were standing outside. We were in St. Louis, which is just to the east across the river here. And all this was happening over here. We were over here. But yeah, kind of crazy. But I know that everybody in my company was okay, but I know there'll probably be a little disruption in the traffic over there. But let me see what I missed in the chat here. There's Johnny Evol. Hey, Johnny, how you doing, buddy? Good to have you in there. Okay, Daryl, I hadn't seen that. 6 fatalities. Well, I'm not surprised because those warehouses, they operate 24/7. And so, there's always, you can always expect, our buildings out there, we probably have 1,000 people out there between the couple of buildings. But, overnight you can expect, 100 people or more, out there. But, yeah, just terrible. But something was goofy. You could tell something was goofy when, at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, it was 66, 67 degrees. Just very uncommon for this time of year. But all right, well, let's see what else is going on. Jim's hometown of Kent in Tennessee is not too far. Let's see where they had one, I guess. And John, I'm so glad to see you, buddy. We got to figure out when we can get together again. I hope you are doing well up there. Brenda Lusk is in from up in Michigan. Dan Jeffers is in from down in Florida. So we got representation all over the country tonight for Speaking of Zane. How about that? One guy get us all connected. Zane McDonald's got us all connected here from all across the country. All right. Well, in other news, over the weekend, Navy beat Army. Sorry about that, Army guys, but it was a good game. I got to watch most of it on the flight. Well, not most of it. I got to watch the first half or so on the flight from St. Louis to Atlanta yesterday, and then the rest of it when I got home. But Navy came out on top this year. Let's see, Air Force beat Navy this year, and Army beat Air Force this year. So that didn't quite add up. But anyway, congrats to Navy. All right, what else is coming up? So while I was in St. Louis, I almost forgot about this, Daryl. How could you let me? I was up in St. Louis. I decided to stay the night since we didn't finish up till 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and I didn't want to come home late at night. So I stayed the night, and actually Daryl and I got together for breakfast on Saturday. Wow, it was great to see Daryl. And we met for breakfast at a nice little place called the Riverside Diner, very close to Jefferson Barracks, Missouri, south of St. Louis. and had us a nice breakfast and got caught up on some things, and had a nice couple greet us as we came in there that was sitting at the table next to us, and told us thank you for our service. I had a veteran's shirt on or something, and Daryl and I both had SAC hats on, and so we kind of stood out as Air Force guys. And I told the lady, I said, yeah, we served together 40 years ago, 40 years ago. Anyway, we had a good breakfast, and then we went over to right there, Jefferson Barracks is the home of the Missouri Civil War Museum. The Missouri Civil War Museum. And we had a great visit. I see the sign on the highway, but I had never heard anything about the Missouri Civil War Museum. But it's a nice museum, wasn't it, Daryl? It was just first class, top notch, beautiful facility. They did it right, and they did a good job of chronicling how Missouri fit into the Civil War. A lot of people don't think of Missouri when they hear the Civil War, but Jefferson Barracks specifically played a big role in the Civil War. Anyway, go do your homework on that. And but Daryl and I had a really great time touring the Civil War Museum there at Jefferson Barracks, and we had planned, because I didn't think it would take us, very long in the Missouri Civil War Museum, but we were there a good bit, and we just ran out of time because my flight was at 2:00, and we wanted to get over to the cemetery and visit some folks. So by the time we were wrapped up in the Civil War Museum, we were out of time to go visit another museum that I've got on my list, and that's the Missouri Telephone Museum. And who knew there was such a thing? But our job in the Air Force had to do with telephony, telephones, and different things. So it'll be interesting to go there. So Daryl and I have made an agreement that the next time I come up there, we'll have to build in time to go to the Missouri Telephone Museum. Good news is it's right there at the Jefferson Barracks complex, right next to the Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery. And so Daryl and I spent my last hour or so there at the cemetery, and we visited. Let's see, I got my list here of everybody we visited, Daryl. We visited. I thought I had my list. What did I do with my list? Well, doggone. Well, let me just see if I can remember. We visited Sergeant Rowland, who recently passed away. He was a communicator. And we visited my co-workers' parents, Ed and Sonia Carter. And we visited Sergeant Wunderlich. Sergeant Wunderlich was one of those that has been interred at Jefferson Barracks. He was interred with no family, and Daryl went to that ceremony. And we passed right by where I think it was Lance Corporal Schmidt, one of those killed in the Afghanistan withdrawal. And then we visited one of my co-workers' father, who just passed a couple of weeks ago, James Cothran. And then we finished up our visits. Well, we didn't. We went and visited Daryl's wife, Wanda, at the most beautiful part of Jefferson Barracks, if you ask me, right up on the hill overlooking the river. Just, you can actually look up the river, north up the river, and see the arch. You can see St. Louis in the distance. It's just a beautiful view, the river running right down past Jefferson Barracks, which is up on a big bluff off the river. It was cold, wasn't it, Daryl? It was 66 degrees when I went to bed Friday night when all the tornadoes happened, 66 degrees at midnight. And when Daryl and I got to Jefferson Barracks, it was windy and cold. It was in the 30s. So the temperature had dropped 30 degrees in about 6-7 hours or less. But we had a phenomenal visit there at Jefferson Barracks, and Daryl goes at least once a week, sometimes twice, and he showed me around. He has a regular route that he takes, and we just had a great time of fellowship and catching up on things, and great breakfast. So I look forward to getting back up there again sometime in the new year. We'll see what happens. But Daryl, thank you for spending some time with me, and we had a really good time together up there. Now, Amy, I did not know that there's a telephone museum in Lincoln. I'll have to put that one on the list for sure. Now, telephones play a big part in Nebraska's history from the Strategic Air Command perspective. Yes, Laura, you do need to meet Daryl. We'll figure out how to make that happen, but it was a really good time, I tell you. Let's see. Let me see if I'm missing anything in the chat here. Okay, Jim's from Trenton. Okay, just 2 towns over, 2 towns south of Clinton, Kenton. Okay. Let's see. Okay, that's great news, Matt. I'll put this in the thing there. This is the guy that's got the GBS, right, Matt? Well, that's good news there. Very good news. All right. Well, let's see. Tornadoes, Navy. Spent some time with Daryl. Hat of the week. So here's the hat of the week. I have actually worn this hat before as the hat of the week, but it is also the hat of the week this week. That is the General. That's the locomotive, the General. If you don't know anything about the General and you haven't been on here and heard me talk about it, just Google it. Look up locomotive, the General, Civil War. Anyway, I wore this hat. This is the hat of the week because Daryl and I were at the Civil War Museum. That's why we're at the Civil War Museum. Not only that, but we're making our way through, and on one whole section there in the museum, they were talking about Medal of Honor, Civil War Medal of Honor recipients, and they had the very first Medal of Honor recipient, which I'll show you a picture of here real quick. Let me share that with you, and so I'll tell you why this is the hat of the week. It's the hat of the week because we were at the Civil War Museum, and because they were highlighting the first Medal of Honor recipient, a young man by the name of Private Jacob Parrott. Now, Private Jacob Parrott was a member of Andrews Raiders. He was one of the volunteer soldiers that agreed to steal the locomotive, the Confederate locomotive, the General, there in Marietta and in Big Shanty, actually, Kennesaw, Georgia. But so his picture was up there on the wall, and then right next to him was a picture of the General, the locomotive. So it kind of stood out to me. And Daryl, for the life of me, I cannot remember the connection to Missouri, even if there is one, because Private Parrott was actually from Ohio, as were most of the Raiders. So I couldn't remember if that display had a connection to Missouri or what the purpose was. But anyway, That is why the locomotive, the General, is the hat of the week. How about that? How about that? Okay, so now my dad is telling me about a telephone museum. Okay, let me put that up on the screen. So there's a telephone museum in Leslie, Georgia. It's between Columbus and Americus. Okay, well, then we'll have to make that trip, Dad. Maybe you and I can go together and see the telephone museum in Leslie, Georgia. How about that? We'll have to. Actually, Dad, I'm taking some time off. I'm taking the last 2 weeks of the year off. Lori won't believe me when I say that, but I am. So I'm planning to come down to Fitzgerald and spend some time down there. I know I'm a little bit late to help with the front porch because it looks like you about got that done, but I can get down there and help you set on the front porch. Maybe that'll be fun. But yeah, we'll see. We'll figure out some things to do. All right. Yeah, Daryl, I couldn't think of a Missouri connection. I was trying to remember if there was some kind of connection to Missouri, but maybe there wasn't. But anyway, that's why the General is the hat of the week. Okay. Well, let's see. What do we got coming up this week? So, Reach Across America. We are already at the Reach Across America time. So, in veteran cemeteries, national cemeteries, and state veteran cemeteries, and other cemeteries all over the country, over a couple thousand or more, will be doing the Reach Across America. At Jefferson Barracks in Missouri, Daryl will be out there, of course, and then my company's headquarters there, so I help facilitate that, and we've got about 20 people from our company there locally in St. Louis that are going to be out there placing wreaths, and we've got folks that are going to be placing wreaths in Nashville, in Tampa, at Arlington, and of course here in Georgia. And what's different about Georgia is they're doing it 2 days. So it seems no two cemeteries are doing it exactly the same way, but here at Georgia National Cemetery, they're doing Friday the 17th from 9 till noon, and then Saturday the 18th from 9 till noon. So I'm not sure about Lori yet. What her plans are, but I think it's true. Both of us will be out there on Saturday morning or Friday morning and Saturday morning. And I've got a bunch of folks from work that are coming Friday morning, and maybe even on some others on Saturday morning. Anyway, so that's coming up this weekend. And if any of you go, obviously, to any cemeteries, take some pictures and put them on the Speaking of Zane Facebook group. That'd be a lot of fun to look at. And I can't wait to tell you guys all about it. And I'm going to try to do this again this year, not on this weekend, but maybe sometime the next week. I'm going to take my drone out there and fly the drone around and get some pictures of all the wreaths with the drone. All right, let's see. Let me see what I'm missing in the chat here. Yeah, my mom's birthday is the day after Christmas. I'm hoping we'll go down there before that. I'll be off from the 20th through the 31st, so we got plenty of time. May make more than one trip down there. But yeah, my mom's birthday is on the 26th, day after Christmas. And let's see. Okay, my buddy Steve, who has also had GBS, is offering up to have a chat with Matt's friend Jason there. Steve made, I don't know if Steve would tell you that he fully recovered from that, but to the rest of us looking outside in at Steve, it's miraculous. I mean, honestly, miraculous. The way that Steve recovered. But generally speaking, I think folks with GBS, there's a high recovery rate back to near normal. Steve's got a little something extra in his heart, so he, of course, stands out above the rest, and no surprise that he has done well. But wow, we were scared for him. We were just together like in March of that year for a reunion down in San Antonio, and then what, Steve, wasn't it the next month that it hit you? Like I think it was that next month or April or May. But anyway, all right, let's see. Dan Jeffers, you have to go, buddy? If you do, thanks for joining us so often, Dan. I appreciate you being in there. I sure do. If you have to leave, we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for stopping by. And Lori put in the chat here, I wanted to make sure I had this later on in here, but in our organizations that do good work, but Lori and her book club friends and some folks from our neighborhood have actually gathered up a bunch of essential items for the Cherokee County Homeless Veterans Organization, just a county over from here. And they were having a big drive to gather up a bunch of, they have this ministry really to serve all the homeless veterans that are in Cherokee County and get them, out of that category of homeless. And they do great work, and led by a guy by the name of Jim Lindemeyer, former Army officer, West Point grad. But yeah, Lori coordinated collecting a bunch of stuff from our neighborhood here. We've had a big box out on the front porch for a couple weeks now, and somebody came and dropped some stuff off in it today. So well done, Lori. That will serve somebody. All right, let's see. Katie says keep her dad in prayer. He's a Navy vet. He broke his back on the flight deck. He was in the hospital when his ship left for Vietnam. This guy's on Tuesday. He's having another spinal surgery. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let me pop that up on here. So we'll definitely keep him in our thoughts and prayers there, Katie. What's his name, if you wouldn't mind putting that in there? We sure will. Dan says S2 is the man. He absolutely is. It was the following week, Steve. Was it that quick? Okay. Because I know we had such a great reunion there in San Antonio for the 10th Acts. And I know it was pretty soon after that. Okay, let's see. Bill Jones. Okay, we'll be praying for Bill Jones, Navy veteran. He's having another surgery this week. All right, Katie. All right, well, let's see what else we got here. This week in military history. Got a couple of items. The first one is December the 13th. Listen to this. So this is before we were a nation. But it'll make sense in a minute. December the 13th, 1636. 1636. What could that be? December the 13th, 1636. Well, that was the birth of the National Guard. The National Guard. That's an old bunch of folks right there. Our daughter Hannah was in the Georgia National Guard, but the National Guard celebrates a birthday tomorrow, 1636. How about that? Good stuff. All right. And then on December the 12th, I think I got these dates right. December the 12th. No, I'm sorry. December the 14th, I think. I have to look back and get the exact dates. But anyway, this week, 2009, Zane and his unit, including Johnny here that's with us tonight, Matt, well, they didn't all go on the same day because the brigade is about 5,000 troops, but Zane left for Iraq on December the 12th or 14th. Anyway, this week, Zane left to go to Iraq, and in 2009, and then a year later, during the same week, he returned. So a year apart. They left in second week of December and came home the second week of December. And very interesting time for sure. Both of those events were incredible memories. Of sending him off was crazy. It was, in fact, let me see. That's not the picture. But anyway, yeah, what an experience! Something I'll never forget. Hanging out there at his battalion, 369, waiting on them to load everything up. And the first time we'd ever been through anything like this. Zane was what, 18, Lori, at the time. And then, of course, a year later, he returned, and it was middle of the night, bitter cold in Savannah, Georgia, and they came in on the parade ground, and yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, always when December comes, that's his birthday, and that's his deployment day, his return day is all in December. So that's this week in military history. Yeah, Katie remembers it was freezing for Savannah, especially. It was very, very cold, and we were all. It was the middle of the night, dead middle of the night, 2, 3 in the morning, something like that. But it was an awesome reunion and incredible. Yes. Okay, Steve. I'm glad you found that. I remember that occurrence in 1985. I sure do. I was in the UK. We lost. I think they were on the peacekeeping mission, heading back to 101st is out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and crashed there after takeoff from Gander, Newfoundland. Yep, I remember that well, Steve. Thank you for posting that. Very sad day indeed. All right, let's see. Katie, I'm watching the posts here. Yeah, so maybe they were on the, I don't know if Zane and Matt were on the same flight there, Katie. I know a lot of flights, it took a lot of flights to get them back, and there were a lot during the day and overnight. Zane's flight was overnight, and it was middle of the night, freezing cold as well. I don't know if it was the same flight that Matt was on, but okay, Wilksy, Rowdy, okay. Awesome. Okay, let's see. Let's move on here. I'm getting a little bit bogged down here. We got to get to the Veteran Cemetery Challenge now. Daryl, did you go to Jefferson Barracks earlier in the week this week? I know you and I went on Saturday, and so I have that visit. And so I'm thinking we had 3 visits this week, which means we have 532 visits. We'll ratchet that up a little bit this next weekend with the Reach Across America. So we're looking forward to that. And Think a Vet Challenge. We continue to, last week we hit a milestone. We exceeded the 1,200 thank you mark. That was really that threshold was sort of manufactured by Ken. Ken said, "Hey, when we hit 1,000, what did we hit 1,000 a couple months ago, Ken? We hit 1,000." Ken's like, "Well, geez, you know what? How about if we hit 1,200 by the end of the year, I'll donate some money to my Warriors Place." And sure enough, we hit it last week, and I think all told, I think we raised about $900 for my Warriors play. So how about that? So Ken, thank you for issuing the challenge, and it was a lot of fun, and we continue to add to that count. We have some thank yous. Probably not aware of all the thank yous out there, but I know that Daryl thanked an Army Vietnam vet on his way home from spending time with me Saturday. I thanked, after I left Daryl, I went to the airport in St. Louis. I got to thank a couple soldiers there at the airport. They were on the flight to Atlanta. And Lori thanked a Georgia State trooper this week. I hope it wasn't because he pulled you over, dear. And so Guy, Lori, Daryl, those are the ones I know about. So I think we had 4 thank yous this week, which takes our count to 1,210. How about that? 1,210. For anybody who's listening that's not a regular and you're just joining us, what the heck are we doing? Well, we started this challenge a couple of years ago and said, well, how about if every time we're out and about and we see a veteran that we just say thanks? And then not only that, let's just track it and have some fun with it and sort of gamify it. And that's what we've been doing for a while. And we've, since we started counting, we're up to 1,210 thank yous that this group has issued to fellow veterans and law enforcement officers, first responders. And you don't know the difference that it could make in somebody's life to hear a thank you. It could be life-changing. I mean, I don't want to over-exaggerate, but I know that the impact can be profound for someone to recognize that another human gives a damn about them. And anyway, anybody who serves this nation is worthy of a thank you, that's for sure. All right, let's see. Well, Lori, we'll give you a chance to talk about those cards sometime, because what we're going to do, we've got a new segment that we introduced last week called the Veteran Spotlight. So whenever anyone's ready to talk to be a guest, we will have a Veteran Spotlight. What is the Veteran Spotlight? Well, I thought it would be kind of cool to hear, like we did last week, about a story about a veteran. Last week we heard about Ken's father, who was a Pearl Harbor survivor, and we heard the firsthand account of his experience on the day of the attack, and just a phenomenal thing. That's the kind of thing I'm thinking about. Certainly, each of us have some kind of story about either our service or a service of a loved one, a family member, or a friend, and we want to use the Veteran Spotlight segment of Speaking of Zane to do that. And it might be easier for more people. It might be easier for people to tell someone else's story than it is to tell their own story. But I'll tell you what, every one of you, especially the ones that I know you guys have phenomenal stories of your time in service. And I want to capture those. I want to hear from each one of you about your time in the service. I want to hear your story about your uncle, about your grandfather, about your father, about your brother, like we heard from Ken last week. So this is we'll weave that into each week as one is available. And so you guys be thinking about that. And to give you a little jump start, here's the kind of thing I'm thinking that it might be so simple if you followed a little guideline. Think about if you were to come on and give the Veteran Spotlight for yourself or a family member. Here's some things you might think about, including what branch of service did they serve in? What years or what era? What was their job or their MOS or their AFSC, as we call it in the Air Force? What bases were you assigned at? What bases did you deploy to? What countries around the world did you visit, go TDY to, be deployed to? And then maybe wrap it up. What are some of the most memorable things from your time in service? Those are the kind of things I'm thinking about. Will be kind of fun to hear and to catalog along the way. So if anybody has the urge to do that, just get in touch with me, let me know, and we'll get you on the docket. That was a lot of fun, Ken, hearing from you last week about your father, and I know that story is going to continue because people like Jim Miller told his grandkids took the story to their teachers, and their teachers are telling the story. So there's another path that's been created for that story to continue to be told after we're gone. So how about that, Jimbo? Great job there, passing that on. I know Ken was thrilled about that. Okay. This is the question young Matthew is asking. All right, I'll ask my friends Amy and Steve and Jim and the rest of the gang. Did we ever make a beer run in the plane? Yes. Oh man, that's a story in its own. I'll tell that story one. I'll tell a story some night about all of the things that we ferried back to England on our airplane. I won't spoil it tonight, but the list is long and varied, and it's not just beer, but oh my gosh, see, I'm having some flashbacks now. But yeah, so Matt, if I don't do that one week, keep reminding me, and I'll have my colleagues Steve and Amy and Jim pipe in and share some of their experiences. That'll be kind of fun. We did have the luxury of an aircraft that was capable of transoceanic flight. So, and we lived in the UK in the time before the internet. So, anytime that we headed back to the States or any other country in Europe, you could bet there was always some beer coming back. All right. Let's see. Yeah, well, that's a whole other story. You know, we had to deal with customs, and there was a clever way to get around that too. Anyway, hold me to account on that, Matt, and I'll tell the story about that. You'll be surprised at some of the unique things that we have snuck back in the tail section of the airplane. All right, good stuff. Oh man, now that's got me thinking. That's a whole episode. All right. Well, I mentioned the organization, the Cherokee County Homeless Organization. Anytime you guys know about an organization that's doing good work for veterans or service members, tell us about it. Let's share that. Most of the organizations that are doing great work are veterans themselves, right? But that's not always the case. There are so many organizations and so many people like Mike Rowe and Gary Sinise that didn't serve, but they have a passion for service members and veterans. So if you know of any that you want to share with the rest of the group, like Lori just did with Cherokee County Homeless, we talk about My Warrior's Place, Reach Across America, Carry the Load, Mission 22, and the list goes on. All right, let's see. Moving on to Heroes Lost or Wounded this week. Unfortunately, we did have some this week. We don't every week, but combat, is inherently dangerous. Training for it is too. Aviation, gravity is an enemy. So we often see cases where there's been aircraft accidents or whatever. But this week, there was a Marine out in Camp Pendleton, Alberto Lucio, was killed. He was helping another motorist with a disabled vehicle, and was hit and killed. How about that? Guy was doing a good deed, and was hit and killed. I tell you what, it's dangerous out on the highway. That's for sure. If you're out on the highway and you get a flat tire or something, be careful. People don't know what the heck they're doing out there. But anyway, this Marine was killed. And then down in El Paso, Fort Bliss, I guess, is the base there near El Paso. There were 3 soldiers shot, one fatally, outside a bar there in El Paso this past week. Terrible situation. I don't know the circumstances. There was Airman First Class Camden Mello, based at RAF Lakenheath, died of suicide on Friday. An active duty airman at Lakenheath from suicide Friday. Terrible. And Ken, I didn't get a chance to follow up with you, but I think you had heard about another active duty suicide. I could not find any information on it. I don't know if you have any further on that. Okay, there you go. Ken's posting as I'm asking him. Yeah, terrible active duty colonel that took his own life this past week. Terrible situation. You wonder what makes somebody get to a point in their life where that's the alternative. It's terrible. That's a good enough reason for me to stay in touch with those you served with, especially, combat veterans, obviously, or what you'd consider a high risk demographic. But anybody really, people are going through things that we don't see. People are going through things that don't make themselves apparent on the surface necessarily. And, it's not, you're not really intruding to check in on your buddies and just ask them how they're doing. Sometimes people just want to know that somebody else cares about them. And I don't know that would have prevented either one of these two, but anyway, we don't know the circumstances, but it's just a terrible epidemic for sure. And Ken, thank you for putting that in the chat there as I was struggling to find any information about it. Okay, well, they all served and they're all worthy of being acknowledged for sure. And we certainly want to prevent anybody. Everybody wants to do whatever they can to prevent somebody from arriving at a point in their life where that's the only option they see. It's just a terrible thing to even ponder. But it happens. We know it happens. We know firsthand that it happens. We've seen it even among this group of Zane's battle buddies. I think, Johnny, I don't know how many we're up to, but Doc and what was the other guy's name? There's at least two others from Zane's unit that I'm aware of that are no longer with us. But terrible thing. Okay, well, I am at the end of the list here, and I sure appreciate you guys joining, especially joining so regular on a Sunday night. You don't have to do this, but I'm glad that you do. And I think with some of the challenges that we've got going, I think just a little bitty group of dedicated patriots can make a difference somehow. And I'll tell you what, at a minimum, you guys, having you guys to talk to, having you guys to listen to me talk about Zane is probably saving me a lot of money on a therapist. You guys are my therapists. I mean, honestly, this is, it is therapeutic for me. I don't know how to explain it. And I've said this before a couple of weeks ago. I don't think that our loss is any more difficult than some of you have lost children. Some of you have lost husbands or wives. We've all lost friends, especially as we age. But, I'm certainly not, because I have a big mouth and have figured out how to broadcast on the internet, doesn't mean that I think my loss is any more difficult than yours. I just want you all to know that. But I appreciate you guys rallying together as a team. It's amazing what we can do as a team, isn't it, Jim and Amy and Daryl? When we can be there for somebody that maybe wouldn't have had somebody there, right? When we can coordinate, different activities that maybe wouldn't have occurred unless we were together talking. So anyway, I think it's all for good, and I appreciate you guys joining every week. We'll do it again next week, and we'll have the Reach Across America to talk about, and I'll share my pictures if you guys promise to share yours, and we'll look forward to seeing everybody again next Sunday night for Speaking of Zane. Thanks, everybody.